Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon. It's been a pretty great week, and I'm still in travel, so I thought I'll do my lecture in recording mode, and then I'll get back. I will get back this week, and then I can start doing live lectures from next week, next Shabbat, when I'm not traveling. So in the meantime, there was a question that came to me, and I thought it would be pertinent to answer this question for the public as well, for most of you who are listening to this, because it may be a good learning moment. And the question was asked to me about Genesis 14 and Melech Zadok, where it says that Melech Zadok came, who was a king of Salem, and he brought out bread and wine, and it talks about the blessing that was given. Now, some of you may be aware, and some of you probably not aware of the story where Abraham goes to rescue Lot. And whilst he's trying to rescue Lot, he of course rescues Lot, brings him back, and then he's met by this scenario where a king comes to him with bread and wine. The question is, who was doing what here? Because it's very confusing, and Christianity hasn't helped by what Christianity has spread as an institutionalized belief that Melech Zadok is Jesus, and this is apparently supposed to be Jesus, who they try to reference with the letter of Hebrews, and they try to make out that somehow Abraham met Jesus over here, and then Jesus was the one who blessed him. And somehow Jesus becomes a high priest, although he's not from the tribe of Levi, and everything is upside down. So let's look at this story in its proper context. Who is what, and what is being said over here regards to this particular conversation that took place where Abraham rescues Lot. And it says in verse 13, I would say we'll go forward to verse 17. And Abram returned from defeating Kedorlaomer, and the kings allied with him. The kings of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh. This is a king's valley. Then Melech Zadok, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abraham gave him a tenth of everything, apparently. Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. So there are several questions that arise out of that. It says, the king of Sodom and said to Abraham, give me the peoples and keep the goods for yourself. Now, first of all, when you go to somebody and you take bread and wine, or bread or something else, or maybe just food, the purpose is that when you take something, you're supposed to be the one who is getting blessed, not the other person. In other words, you go to the blesser. Here, instead of Abraham going to the king comes to him. It's nothing to do with Jesus. This is not Jesus, by the way. This was Shem. Shem comes to Abraham. And it's Abraham. So who is doing the blessing? In verse 19, it doesn't give you a name. It says, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abraham by God Most High. So apparently, verse 18 is trying to say that the king was the one who came out, not Abraham. I want you to note this. This is very important. The question also arises, who received the tithes? Did the king receive the tithes? If he received the tithes, then how can Abraham and his sons receive the tithes down the road? Because apparently it's Abraham that's supposed to bless the nations. If Abraham's supposed to bless the nations, then why would the king receive the tithes? So this is a big confusion within these books that needs to be clarified. I think it's pretty important that we clarify this, because clearly God doesn't do anything without Abraham knowing about it. Because we know this as well, that God tells Abraham everything before he does it. So here we have to understand, because in the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verse 17, it says, "And Yudhevah, he said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm doing? Since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him," or grafted in him. So, who is the blesser and who is the blessed? Well, if Melchizedek apparently is the blesser, then he receives a tithe, right? Then all the nations of the earth should be blessed through him, but they are not. But if the blesser is Abraham and the tithe receiver is Abraham, then all the earth will be blessed through Abraham and not through Melchizedek. So Melchizedek is simply a water wash. It's just whitewash. It's not what you've been taught. Here, Melchizedek, he comes to Abraham with bread and wine. Abraham thus is the blessed and the blesser. Because when it tells you, and he received the tithes, that he, there is no name mentioned. In some Bibles I noted, in local Bible translation, in the local language of Urdu, I noticed Abraham's name was there, and Abraham received. It says, and Abraham gave the tithes, and I looked it up in the Hebrew, and there was no Abraham in the Hebrew. The noun for Abraham was missing. So somebody, in translating the Bible into these languages, took upon himself to just insert Abraham's name in there, without any apostrophes, without any italics, so you do not know whether that is really there or not there. So if you read it, you think it is Abraham. However, the truth be told, the one who spoke the increase and the one who gave the increase was Abraham, not so-called Melchizedek. And the one who received the tithes was also Abraham. Abraham received the tithes from the king. Because it says he received the tithes. Now the wa in there, Rabachuhu, the word there, Vibrochuhu, is a word that he received the tithes. It's not necessarily he, it's a wa, or vav. And the vav, it's one of those vavs in which you can say therefore, not necessarily and. It's not an and. It's therefore he received the tithes. Who was the giver? It was the king. And who was the receiver? It was Abraham. So who is going to bless who? Abraham's going to bless the nations. Well, then Abraham is a receiver as well, because the he in that passage, if you note it in verse 18, the he who is doing both things, because technically who is the Kohen at the time and the priest is Abraham, because Abraham was the one building altars. If you note in Genesis 12, when Abraham comes out from his land, he is the one who builds the altar, not some Melchizedek character. And so the one who speaks the increases would be indeed Abraham. And the one who receives the tithe would indeed be Abraham as well. So I think this is a pretty important verse in that regards, and that is the explanation that I gave to the people over here, that this verse has been so long, it's been mistaught, and he gave a tithe of all. Well, this he in verse 20 is the king, so-called Melchizedek, who gave the tithe of all to Abraham. Abraham was a receiver, not the giver, and he was the blesser. He would bless the nations. You do not find anywhere where it says Melchizedek will bless the nations. Abraham will bless the nations. And if we take it to the letter of Hebrews, well, the letter of Hebrews, maybe some people are not aware, it's got quite a few factual mistakes. And we don't even need to look at those mistakes where it calls Jesus a high priest. Jesus cannot be a high priest because Jesus is not from the tribe of Levi. Jesus is from the tribe of Judah, allegedly. Well, if he's allegedly from the tribe of Judah and he has no mother and no father, or he has at least a mother, according to the Gospels, and no father, because he was adopted, then he cannot be a high priest either. Because in order to be a high priest, you must have a mother and you must have a father. In other words, you must be born naturally through a mother and father. You cannot have a supernatural conception where apparently, allegedly, you're a virgin birth and you have no father. So you only have a mother. That disqualifies you for a high priest post, even if you're from the tribe of Levi. So Jesus being neither, not from the tribe of Levi, can never be the high priest, not even allegorically speaking. So this is the problem that you will have to deal with if you believe that the letter of Hebrews is from above. I personally do not believe that. I do not believe for a second that the New Testament writings, or any of those letters, Gospels, any of those things are at the same level as the Torah and the prophets. They are not, if you want to use the word divine, they're not divine, they're just simply history. And they're history that, what happened in Jerusalem during that period, they can be read in that form. That's about as far as you can go with those. And really, there's no more than that. And yes, some of you can get some instructions from there, but really, the majority, the main instructions come out of the Torah, and that's how we do it. We do not receive our instructions from books that occurred long after our Torah. So please note, this is the answer to that particular scenario. Now, coming back to the law of manifesting, the law of the Bible, the law of the Torah, is a question that is asked, and one that I'm dealing with over here is what happens when you're asking for something and it is not appearing, and maybe in your 3D world you're not seeing the result. So how do you deal with it? So to give an example, maybe we'll have to seek some examples over here. Let's say that you're willing, you want something to happen, but that thing is not appearing in the 3D world. For instance, somebody owes you money, or somebody's going to give you a loan, one or the other. And that person that owes you money is not giving you your loan back. Now you're manifesting that loan, the return of that loan back from that person, but in the 3D, all you're getting is a refusal from him that he doesn't have the money, you don't have it, and you can't therefore have it in return. So in the 3D natural, you are, believe, or at least seeing, if not believing, you're seeing that the money hasn't returned to you. So what do? Well, you continue to be faithful to your vision. Your vision says that this man came to you, or woman, This man or woman came to you and they gave you your money back that was due to you. For argument's sake, let's say it's $5,000. If it's $5,000 somebody owes you and you're not seeing any result in the 3D, and all you're getting is a no, sorry, I can't give it to you right now, I don't have it, you'll have to wait kind of thing. And then what do you see in your visualization? You see that this man has given you the money, or woman, and you're having a phone conversation and you're saying on the phone to a friend or a relative, you're saying that so-and-so has returned my money. I feel great. So-and-so has returned my money. I feel wonderful. So-and-so has returned my money. It's marvelous. These are the words that you're using in your phone conversation. And whilst in real life, that man or woman has not returned your money. So you continue to be faithful to your vision. Your vision says that they have already returned the money. But you can also speak it. And you can speak the vision that so-and-so person has returned my money. And I'm very happy, I'm very satisfied. Even though in the 3D, it may not appear that you have the entire money that you need, that the man is not being cooperative or the woman is not being cooperative, but you must continue to believe. You must continue to be faithful to your vision. And if you're faithful to your vision, then you will receive the money. The same thing can be applied to a sum of money that you wish to receive. Let's imagine that you wish to receive $1 million. And in order to receive that sum of money, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter if somebody is giving you inheritance. It doesn't matter if it's a lottery win, if it's a scratch card, if it's something else. Those things don't really matter. So you continue to believe that you're manifesting $1 million, in which you're saying that I am a self-manifested millionaire, or I know I'm a self-manifested millionaire, or I have received $1 million. Now you're saying these things. Maybe in the 3D, you don't yet see the $1 million, but you're believing in it, and you continue to speak it, because you're faithful to your vision. And in your vision, you do the same thing. You see a phone conversation where you're speaking to a friend or a relative, and you're telling your friend or relative that you are absolutely delighted. It's wonderful that you received $1 million. You're very happy. And they congratulate you, saying, great, very happy for you. Congratulations. And you continue to repeat that vision over and over again until it saturates in your mind. And it doesn't have to be the same words. It doesn't have to be the same time that every time you see it, the person is saying, hey, it's great, it's wonderful. You can change these words. At each sitting, you can change the words to something else. Like maybe one sitting, the person is saying, hey, it's wonderful. I'm happy for you. Maybe in another sitting, when you're seeing this vision, talking to your friend is saying, it's marvelous. So it doesn't even have to be the same identical words each time at each vision. Each vision, as long as the words are positive and make you happy, and that you have it, then that's where you need to be. You need to be at that spot and continue to believe, continue to believe, continue to believe, and continue to say, continue to visualize daily. And that's what will make that into fact. So even though it didn't appear to be real in your 3D, but your continued belief, your continued persistence cemented that into reality. That is being faithful to your vision. And this is why I gave you a telephone conversation scenario last week. And I said, in this telephone conversation, you pick up your phone and you say, like you're talking to a friend, and you're saying to your friend Hey Jack, you won't believe this. I've just received $1 million. Hey Jack, you won't believe this. I just received $1 million. So you continue to repeat these words. As I explained to you, a man back in the 1920s was saying these words similarly was saying these words on his phone to a friend, imaginary friend. Doesn't have to be even a real friend, it's an imaginary friend. And he continued to say those words for 1 hour every day for 5 days. 1 hour daily is a lot of time. I'm not saying that you have to do for an hour, but maybe you can attempt at least 15 minutes a day at a time, one 15-minute slot every day for 5 days. After which time this man stopped doing it. He did it for about 5 days. And you don't need to do it for 2 weeks. You can do it for anywhere between 5 to 10 days. Anywhere between 5 to 10 days, and you got to look at your own feeling. If you feel you've done it enough times, you feel satisfied, then you let go. Then you detach from it and you just wait for the result. And that's what that man did. He did it for a week, probably around 7 days. He stopped after that, and then he received $28,000. $28,000 back in the 20s, 30s of 1930s was a lot of money. Maybe today's $500,000-$600,000 might be equivalent to that amount of money, maybe more. So the same way, I urge you to be sincere and faithful to your vision. You will all have a vision. Some of you have a vision to get a car. So you become that car and you say, I am that car. If it's a Mercedes, you say, I'm a Mercedes. I'm a new Mercedes. I am a new Mercedes. I am a new Mercedes. And you see yourself in your vision, in your visualization, driving that Mercedes. And you just go to make sure you understand or know what the interior looks like. Just, go onto Google, get some pages of the images of that Mercedes or any car that you're desiring. Get the pages, look up the interior, see what the design is like, and just, ingrain that in your head. And continue to be faithful to that vision. Continue to see it daily until that car materializes in your world. Same thing goes for an apartment. Look up the apartment in Google, maybe YouTube, and then continue to imagine that you're living in that apartment. Continue to speak that apartment, that you're living in that apartment. It's definitely true that you're living in such and such apartment. It's wonderful. You can even use I am the apartment at so-and-so. Just continue to be faithful to your vision. Continue to deny the 3D reality that presently says that you're not living in that apartment. Ignore it. Do not even focus on it. But continue to believe that you are living in the apartment, that you are the owner of that apartment, that you love your apartment, that you're doing your cooking over there. If you like cooking, you're maybe sitting in the living room, talking to friends. Maybe you're in the yard, sitting in the yard talking to friends. Any of those miscellaneous items. Maybe you're somebody who likes to spend more time in the bathroom and you're having a bath, maybe a salts bath. You're putting some salt, essential oils into the bath, you're having a bath. So whatever you like to do in the house, you imagine that you are there and you're doing it. And you continue to repeat that vision day after day, believing that that is your ultimate reality. Until you cement that 3D, until your 3D world is cemented into you having that home, that apartment. So the same principle can be applied to any other item like credit card debt. Most of us in this world today we do pick up some credit card debt when we go buy items in the high street, in the stores, online, and other places. We pick up credit card debt. Everybody varies. Some people have more, some people have less. But all of us at some point or another had a credit card debt that we needed to pay off. So how do you now pay the debt off? Well, how about saying all my credit card debt is paid off? Or all my credit card debt is paid paid wherever it is. All my credit card debt is paid to zero balance. And then you continue to imagine. You imagine that you are having that same conversation and the friend is congratulating and saying to you, hey, Simon, congratulations, you paid all your credit card debt. And you say, yes, it's wonderful, I have. I know, I have, and it's wonderful. And he again says to you, I know. He says to you, congratulations, I heard that you paid off all your credit card debt. And you say, yes, I have, and it's wonderful. And just loop that scene. You repeat it over and over again, daily. Daily repeat it until that scene is true, is cemented into reality, where you have actually paid all your debt off. And you're grateful and you're thankful, and you're living in the state in which you're debt-free. You can even have the statement, I have instantly paid my credit card debt off. So you got to just cement it into reality. So these are the different techniques that I want you to test and apply, and they do work. All of them work. Whatever you're faithful to, it will work for you. So I highly suggest that you do them. This is going to be a short lecture. I thank you for listening to me. Have a wonderful Shabbat and a great week ahead. And I now pass it to Rabbi Kefa. Chadasha.
Here in San Antonio, Texas, and I say Shabbat Shalom to all of you, Mishpacha. Todah Rabbi HaKohen for your lecture. I tell you what, this is pretty much spot on, because how many of you have an understanding of Melchizedek? Because I know out of the backgrounds that we come out of, Melchizedek is mentioned a lot in the New Testament theology, but not understanding the root and where Melchizedek came from. This is why it's so important to have the hidden truth he breaks throws. And I tell you what, another factor that's so very important is to, have the proper translation before you, right? For those of you who may be listening in via YouTube, or you're listening in on Facebook, or you get this recording later on and you're not live in the room right now, I would encourage you all during this time, to get a proper translation. If you consider yourself any kind of student of the Bible, a Bible believer, living in the Bible Belt, and you just really want understanding from a awesome, great translation. I may be a little bit biased here, but this is one of the best translations, the best translation in reality. Because, at the end of the day, we have to face reality and get out of this fantasy land where, fact becomes fiction. And, autobiographies, biographies become autobiographies and things of this nature. It's very, very important that, ever since, I don't know what had happened, but I was, fiddling around on YouTube, and it just so happened to come up to some of those, original videos, Rabbi Zachariah, Oliver as well, Vive la France. You probably know what I'm talking about. Those old school videos HaKohen put out when he was teaching from his living room. You remember those in the UK? you remember those? And they're still on YouTube. And he's teaching. And I remember, you guys remember those videos? And I remember, and it took me back to when I was, seeking for the truth and really wanting to, face reality. Lion Princess knows, and Adelia knows, you know what I'm talking about. And when you were really Shabbat Shalom, Oliver, and how it was just like, it was beautiful and refreshing to be able to have the facts laid out before you. You know what I mean, Brother Davis? And cutting through all of this fiction out here and this fantasy that, and all this truth out there they want to give you, left, right, front, and center. I mean, I was so full of truth that I couldn't see the road for the trees. You know what I mean? Oh, this is the truth and this is the truth. No, I want the facts because I live in a reality-based world. But a lot of folks don't, Mishpachah. I will tell you this as a student of human nature. A lot of folks don't live in a reality-based world. They live in a fantasy land. Now, my reality is what I make it. And I would encourage you to understand this because your reality is what you make it as well. It's what you make it. You understand what I'm saying? Your reality, you control that. And a lot of folks don't understand that they can take the reins of that particular reality and move it to the left, move it to the right, and their reality will go that way because they make their own reality. But they're waiting for reality to make them. They're doing just the opposite. Do you get what I'm saying? They're literally waiting for God to transform them instead of them transforming themselves from the inside. That's where the God really is. And they're anticipating things instead of taking the reins and making things happen. And believe it or not, this is truly by design. This is what religion does. It leaves you anticipating for things when if you can take hold of your reality, you can make your reality right now. When you have a relationship and understand what reality really is, you understand that you have control. And during Hakoi's lecture, how many of you understand what I'm saying here? Do I need to go a little bit deeper with this so you can get you get where I'm coming from? Are you picking up what I'm putting down, Mishpachah? You know what I'm saying? Because this is a very important point that a lot of people are missing. They're missing this point. And I got this with Hakoi's lecture. I glean a lot of understanding just by the questions that people ask. And here's my thing, and I wrote this down during Hakoi's lecture. If you have to ask the question why, listen to what I'm saying here. If you have to ask the question why, then doubt and belief have already creeped in. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you have to ask the question why, how many of you coming up would ask your father and mother after they told you to do something? Now, this is reality. After your father and mother gave you a commandment, told you to do something, would ask the question why. I want you to put up a W if that's you. You say, Rabbi, yeah, that was me. As a child, if my mother and father would command me to do anything, I would ask the question why. Well, let me tell you, in my household, I wouldn't ask the question why. Now Sean is he's going to go through that period as well. He's 2 years old now. But everything you tell him, he'll say, why? Why this? Why that? Why this? And yeah, I get that. But when you become of age and your mother and father, and you've been given responsibility, and your mother and father will sit there and tell you to do something, and you have to ask why, believe me, before I could get the why, why is spelled W-H-Y, before I could, pronounce the Y in the W-H-Y, I probably had a foot or a fist in my mouth. Because you don't ask why, you just do. You understand? You just follow through and you just do. W once and never again, Zachary says. Right on. That's how it was in my household. My parents, didn't have the time or the motivation to want to explain to me the rationale behind the statement that they just gave me. That just didn't happen in my household. I don't know about you guys' household. Some parents do that. I sit there and watch some parents, and little Johnny will say, yeah, mother, well, why do I have to take out the trash? And the mother will sit down and politely and calmly explain to little Johnny, well, little Johnny, you have to take out the trash for a varied amount of reasons. Number one, if you don't take out the trash can in the appropriate amount of time, then we will have all kind of critters running through the house because they will pick up the sense of the smells that of the trash can, and they love them. And for you who live in Texas, the Texas cockroach is like our state bird, especially those of you who live in Louisiana. You get them Texas cockroaches, they coming out of your toilets and I mean, your faucets and everywhere else, they have become, aquatic. They can swim now. I'm telling you, Texas cockroaches have evolved. And so you don't want all these kind of creatures, Texas, little Johnny, running through your house. So we have to take out the trash at appropriate times. And also, we want our house to smell very good. I mean, my mother and father didn't sit there and give me the reasons why I had to do something. I just had to do it. And I did it. And you know what it was in my household, Rabbi Zachariah? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Son, go do this. Yes, sir. Son, it's time to go cut the grass. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Son, did you wash those dishes? Well, why I gotta wash the? Boom. Didn't have time for didn't have time for a long dictation on why I had to do something. You just get it done. Because why? Because your parents said it had to get done. Because that's what Mama said. Because that's what Pop said. Pop put it down, and that's what I'm going to do. You see? So if you have to ask why, then you see, why is sort of, depending on how the scenario, why can be derogatory. If you have to ask why, then it can be negative in a lot of ways. Because if you have to ask why, then number one, you don't have the facts. And, that's room for correction. If you don't have the facts, then you have, well, why? This is an appropriate question, especially when you first get the Abrahamic-Faith Bible or the Hidden Truth Break Scrolls. I wonder if she's in the room. Yeah, you here. Bertha Shaw, you know what I'm talking about. Once you got HaKohen's literature, you had a lot of whys, right? And a lot of your whys were probably answered. But here's an appropriate why question. Why is Jesus black? You know what I mean? Or why did they perpetrate Yeshua ben Yosef as a white man? Why do they that's an appropriate question. You see? Because there's an agenda at hand. And like what I'm saying with my statement up here, if you have to ask why, doubt or disbelief has already crept in. So let's make it personal here. If you have to ask why to yourself, like, why is my affirmations not coming about? Then, you opening up the door and you're sitting down at the table and you're feeding a 7-course meal to doubt and disbelief. Because you allow them to creep in. And then guess what? That actually becomes your reality. How many of you are with me? Then doubt becomes your reality. Disbelief becomes your reality. Because you have to ask the question, why? Well, why? Why don't I have that house yet? Because you're not strong enough to understand, okay, I got to make that house my reality. Like our Kohen says, you have to live in that particular, you have to live in house environment to where it is real to you. And you don't have to ask why, because it's real to you. It's real. It literally is real to you. I do have that house. And I don't have to ask why, because I'm already living in it. And then I already took a shower in that house. And then I already then cooked in that house. You know what I mean? I already done slept in it. Baruch Hashem. Because it's that real to you. So if that's not your reality yet, then you're going to still be asking the question, why? And then that why, I'm telling you, it ushers in doubt and it also ushers in disbelief. And then before you know it, you won't believe in your affirmation anymore. And before you know it, every time you give you put out your powerful statements that are making reality, you'll make a statement and say, well, I don't believe what I'm saying, but I'm going to say it. See, doubt will start to creep in on you. That'll never happen because you don't understand the how. You see, because doubt will begin to tell you, well, if that's going to happen, then how it's going to happen? How you going to make those millions? How you going to make those millions when you work at McDonald's? That's not logical. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just what will happen. You see, because doubt has a friend. Doubt's friend is logic, and logic's friend is disbelief. You see, these are the three amigos. I'm down here in Little Mexico, so I gotta throw some Spanish flavor in there, some Mexican flavor. These are the three amigos here. You see, you got doubt, then you got disbelief, and then logic will get in there and just have a party with them as well, doing the electric slide. They doing it all together. They in tandem. These are the three amigos. You see, you don't want to think logically. You want to think in a real world. A real world. And Hakohin, what he has done, especially with his teachings with me, has put me in reality, in my reality, because I understand that I have the ability to make my reality and to call my reality forth. And it can happen. I don't have to wait. I make. That's from the Hokmah. I don't wait. I make. I make my reality. I'm not waiting on reality to happen to me. Any of you watch that Malcolm X movie? He made a statement that they put in a movie that I believe is a real statement that he actually made. He said that something about Plymouth Rock. He said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. This is reality. I mean, reality says, anybody remember Malcolm X making that statement? He said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like that, where you have to face. Don't wait for reality to happen to you. You don't sit there and wait around for things to happen, because believe me, they will, and that's going to be your reality. Make things happen. Don't wait for things. But again, that's the conditioning that we received in the nations. And religion is big for doing this to you. They have you sitting around waiting. And Judaism is right in the mix. Because Judaism, you know who they have you waiting on? Can anybody tell me who Judaism have you waiting on? They're having you wait on the Messiah, aren't they? You waiting on the Messiah with Judaism. Oh, we wait for Mashiach to return. I mean, if you heard that statement, oh, when Mashiach returns, it's going to be on and popping. Ooh, when Mashiach comes back. So Judaism is right in the mix with all those other religions as well. You're either waiting on Jesus or you're waiting on Mashiach. You know what I mean? Instead of what? Don't wait. Begin to make. Make it now. Make your Mashiach here now. Make your restoration now. Make your deliverance right now. Don't wait on deliverance. Christianity's still waiting on they're waiting on the rapture. Don't wait on that stuff, man. And again, you want me to throw another friend in with the three amigos? Let's throw Wade in there with them too. So you got Wade. Who we have in there? We have Wade at the party. We have logic at the party. We have disbelief at the party. And we have doubt at the party. Don't wait, make. Well, I'm waiting, Rabbi, for this to come to pass. No, make it come to pass now. You get it? So you see how people speak. Man, our holy books tell us is how you speak is how you're going to be. And that's totally true. Because you're speaking your own reality. Or you may have other people speaking for you, and then that's your reality. Or let me put it this way. You allow other people to speak for you. You know what I mean? And that's your reality. Your reality is going to be whatever those people are speaking for you or to you. And then guess what? You accept it. Because you don't understand how strong you are as an individual with inside of you to control all of that and to take charge and to dominate and to take dominion over yourself before you can take dominion over this earth. Brother David says, wait for the sky to open up and a UFO ship to land. Oh, indeed. They're waiting on that. When my UFO has already landed, matter of fact, I'm talking to the aliens at night. They come out in the backyard and we have conversations. Baruch Hashem. Aliens are already here, by the way, if you didn't know that. If you didn't know, they're already here, by the way. If you haven't had your conversation, then, you need to go call to them. They'll come to you. They'll come to you, man. You think we alone in all this? The earth is all there is, then, man, you living in a big bubble, man. There's a big bubble. I mean, come on now. Come on now. And we have relationships with all that. People, plants, pets, and aliens, Baruch Hashem. And predator. Man, people, plants, pets, and predator. All my P's in there, Baruch Hashem. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Look, man. if you've studied any of the ancient hieroglyphs that are in Egypt, they even have the spaceship man coming out of a ship. They have that. Come on, man. Alien beings have always been around and interacting with what's going on this earth. And that's just real. That's reality. Now, whether you want to make that reality or not, that's on you. But believe me, these alien beings are here to assist. And I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you who really harnessed those alien beings and used them, utilized them. And you can go study this and read this in books. And maybe, Bertha Shaw, you already have done this, because I know you're a great scholar and a student of history. But you look at the time of Hitler, they utilized the alien process to their benefit. And I'm telling you, they were far advanced than everybody. If you didn't already know this, you need to read your books. Hitler knew about that stuff, man. And he utilized the power of that. I'm telling you, you better go read it. That's it. That's reality on the ground. Not this mamby-pamby phony history they want to give you. That's the facts on the ground. They had technology. And here, let me clue you up on something as well. America knew this as well. So America went in and took a lot of the scientists from Germany and brought them to America. Oh, and that's facts on the ground. That's facts. You can go look at the documents. That's facts. Hey, they gave them free green cards and all that. That's facts. I'm telling y'all, that is facts. I'm telling you. So, again, if you don't have the information, then you're going to get with the people who do and who are clued up on it and who make that particular information their reality and are utilizing it and to their benefit. And they're prospering from that. So, again, I'm not, it's all what you want to believe in. But if you continue to believe that there's no UFOs, then there's not going to be no aliens or no UFOs that's going to come see you, because that's your reality. And our Queen talked about this. He said, man, you got to believe it in his lecture. When he just gave, he said, look, you got to believe this. You got to believe this. Brother David said the atomic bomb was built by a German man. It sure was, by the way. And the Japanese would be the first to tell you it was a German man. Unfortunately, it was dropped by the Americans, but it was a German who came with the technology. Yeah, I mean, my goodness. Again, here we go. Here we go. What do you believe in? Because if you don't believe that you can affirm, if you don't believe that you can manifest and make miracles, then you won't. That's your reality. But we must begin to live in a real world. And I tell you, when our Kohen began to speak to me back in those old YouTube videos where he had his cap on, his head covering on that had Yahweh on it, the purple hat. Y'all remember those videos? They're still on YouTube. You go look them up. And he's talking to you and he's telling you, look, the real people of the books are blacks and the browns. They're the real, I'm paraphrasing, but they're the people of the books. You've been hoodwinked and bamboozled by this translation that you have in the King James Version. It's totally wrong, and it's been changed to meet a particular agenda. You blacks and browns, the Bible is your history book. That's your history. Boy, did that open up my eyes, and I was like, wow, I believe this. I totally believe it. No wonder why I never felt comfortable with the thou and thou'st. And thou art. I never felt comfortable with that, King Jimmy. But again, it's all in what you believe. And yeah, I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of doubt and disbelief with the stuff that I was hearing in religion. That's why I didn't stay. And that's why I hopped to and fro. And my father did as well. I picked up the pattern from my father. He hopped to and fro because he had doubt with what was going on in all these different churches. So he said he hopped to and fro. May he rest in peace and sleep with our fathers. But yeah, he did. Brother David said, I seen on YouTube our Kohen had a chalkboard and a pointer stick. Yep. You know what I'm talking about, Brother Davis? And he's just breaking down and giving you the reality of what they know of as the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible is a history book of a people, Baruch Hashem, and that won't change. Because now you're getting the facts. You're not getting all these truths out there that you see on YouTube. You're getting the facts. You're getting the facts. Here are the facts. I'm going to lay them out to you. Can you handle them? Humanity. And anybody can go in and watch this. This is not about a religion. It's about putting the facts, putting reality in your face. And can you deal with your reality? Jesus was a black man. Can you deal with that? Look, to this day, I go around telling people, well, I don't anymore like I used to, because before I used to be super Hebrew with the H on my little uniform and my cape, and I go around, hey man, Jesus was a black man. Man, people look at me like I was crazy. Like, what do you mean? Jesus was a black man. Yeah, he was black. He was a man of color. Like, what? When they got white Jesus still hanging on their wall. Oh, you can't tell that to some folks because that's what they believe. They believe in the white Jesus. And I know everybody in this room, you have a family member, friend, or a loved one who are still carrying that reality. You still do. They still carry, to this day, right now, they're carrying that reality. That's their reality. That's what's real to them. Then you leave them to it. But you may ask him, okay, well, what is Jesus doing for you? What miracles has he done lately in your life? What makes you stick to your belief system? Is it because mama and them did it? And grandmama and them did it? And grandpa and them did it? And we got the white Jesus picture from our great-great-great-great-great-grandmother that she had on the wall in her plantation. So it's got to be true, and it's got to be the facts, and it's got to be real. Okay, well, where's that real? Well, okay, what reality? Let's look at reality now. What has Jesus done for your life now? Has he given you everything that you wanted? Has he met all your desires? Is he still doing miracles? The miracles that you see in that Bible, are they happening in your life right now today? Well, that was the past. Well, brother, we're waiting right now on him to return. And then when he returns, everything is going to come back to the way it was. I'm like, what the hell? No, let's talk about how it is now, not the way it was, and not sometime in the future. Let's talk about your now. Well, brother, I'm a suffering servant for the Lord. Like, what the hell? Number one, I'm not a servant. I'm not suffering for anybody because, my promises are that I'm going to be blessed, exceedingly blessed in all areas of my life. I'm going to be, abundantly, exceedingly increased in every area of my life. I'm not going to be, struggling and trying to, working from hand to mouth and blah, 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 from paycheck to paycheck. No, that's not me. That's not that's not my reality. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, Mishpahah. It's all about reality. How do you want to make your reality? So when people still come to HaKohen with questions about why isn't stuff happening, why isn't it happening? It's because you haven't made it your reality yet. Because when you make it your reality, you won't have to ask why. You won't have to ask why, and you give two hoots about the how. Because the how doesn't even matter. It just is. It's just like when you light that candle. The light just is. It just is because that's what it is. And when it becomes like that to you, my goodness, you're unstoppable. Because it can't help but come to you then. Who cares how it comes to you? Who cares? If you're like on Willy Wonka, like the boy who finds that, he busted and disgusted. He broke. He out there slinging papers, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents for his family. You know what I mean? His grandmama and them and his mama. And he finds this coin in the water drain, and he takes that coin. When they done said all the golden tickets were sold, and so he still takes that coin, and he still, knowing that his family needs money, he still takes that coin and go buy some chocolate. And he finds the golden ticket in that chocolate, Baruch Hashem. Don't matter how. Don't matter if there's coins raining from the heavens, Baruch Hashem. Rabbi Zachariah said, Ali said that he wanted to enjoy some things on earth right now, not when he get to heaven. Ali sure did say that. Muhammad Ali himself, Baruch Hashem. Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He said he flied like a butterfly and he stung like a bee. Ask his opponents, did he sting like a bee? Yeah. Ask George Foreman, did Muhammad Ali sting like a bee when he hit you? Did you feel a bee sting? Muhammad Ali made that his reality. Baruch Hashem. Hadassah Gray said, Abba spoke to me in 1999 and told me that we are a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. He told me in 2013 to begin my research regarding the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith. Then I saw a Kohen on YouTube teaching. Here I am today. Baruch Hashem. Hadassah Grace. May the Abba, may Power's name be forever praised. Baruch Hashem. That's what it's all about. It's about what is your reality? What are you making your reality? Because that's what it's gonna be. That's exactly what it's gonna be. And nobody can stop you but yourself. Matter of fact, that's the only person who's stopping you is yourself. Yourself is stopping you because number one, self hasn't woken up yet. So it's you and all your three amigos plus one. Your three amigos plus one. You got weight, you got doubt, you got logic, and you got disbelief. I really want you to pay attention to these. I'm speaking about these negative forces. You know, those negative forces that I just named? That is your devil. Mishpahah. Everybody running around here blaming things on the devil, so they literally blaming things on who? They're blaming things on themselves, right? Think about that for a minute. The devil made me do it. You're basically saying you done it to yourself. The devil's in the details. No, yourself is in those details. I had a woman explain to me, as I'm an advocate for children, I advocate for especially these special needs children. I'm an advocate for the special needs children. She comes in, I'm trying to, what we're doing right now is we're getting this boy a all electronic bed. He needs one. He's on a breathing machine. He has a tracheotomy and he's fed through his stomach. And I'm like, look, man, this boy needs, and he's heavy as hell. He's pushing 80 pounds now, 16 years old. And his mama can't do nothing with him because he's so heavy now. Can't transport him. And I'm like, hey, if anybody needs a bed, this household needs an electronic bed to where everything can be controlled electronically. And you can have some maneuverability in there to where transport is made easier and it doesn't harm the patient or it doesn't harm, the parent, the caregiver, you see? And so this woman comes in and because, we need a physical therapist to write this stuff up for us. I can't write it up as a nurse. They want a physical therapist to do it. I can only advocate as a nurse. So this woman comes in, physical therapist. She said, well, I just want to be the devil's advocate. How many of you heard people say that before? I'm just being the devil's advocate. I say, wait a minute, lady. I say, wait a minute. Number one, we in this household, and I am the patient's advocate. I give two damns about being a devil's advocate, okay? And she stopped her directly. I said, yeah, let's correct that. I said, let's correct that. You are here to be this patient's advocate, right? She's like, yeah, okay. I said, let's get that straight. I was like, give it devil's advocate. What the hell is it? I'm not here to be the devil's advocate. I'm here to advocate for this little boy and getting this new bed here that he needs. You know what I mean? So again, you have to correct people and stop them in their tracks. Otherwise, they'll continue in their ignorance. You see? And she appreciated it. But you all know in this room, family, as a family member, I got a big mouth. I ain't got time to play your game. And look, I'm gonna cut to the chase. I get it from my teacher. It's straight, no chaser here. We're not gonna bullshit you here. You're gonna get the reality on the ground. And reality number 101 is that you need to learn how to talk properly. And let me help you. Don't run around here saying that you're an advocate for the devil. I'm the devil's advocate. What the hell does that mean? That's negative, man. And negativity is not gonna get this boy a new bed. You know what I mean? So let's begin to advocate on the positive side of things for this little boy and show some compassion and show some love here. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about right now. And this is what I was trying to explain to this woman. And believe me, my point came around. She got a great little bit of instruction. And so when she goes into the next home, or she's writing up for the next patient, or the next individual that needs some equipment from Medicaid or Medicare, she'll come with the right mindset, or the woman set, or the man set, and say, yeah, I'm an advocate for this patient. I'm advocating for this patient. Don't play the devil's advocate. Well, I'm just being the devil's advocate. No, not in my world. I'm not going to allow that to just pass on by. And I want you to understand something about our holy books that you need to see from our Torah. And when I say holy books, I mean the Torah. I'm not talking about the 66 canonized books. I'm not talking about those 66 canonized books that was done, during the time of who's that cat? What was his name? When they came up with the Jesus name and all that, and Caesar Borgia and all them fools. You know that history, Bertha Shaw. I'm not talking about that time. So it's important for us to understand, very, very important for us to understand, is that we must correct, and it's all about relationships here. And so we must correct these nations and when they're wrong. And not so much saying when they're wrong, but we must help them help themselves, because they're ignorant and they don't know any better. And I say that in all humility and with all respect. They just don't know any better. So if you allow them to keep talking negative, when can the positive side, when the positive forces come in and do their due? When their reality is just negativity, This is where you come in and you be a light to your nation. This is totally where you come in and you be a light to your nation. And you make your world, your reality, a better place. Because there's people around you that are negative. And that are ignorant, and they just don't know how to speak properly. And the words that are coming out of their mouth is mostly negative all the time. Thus, the negative forces, they have great relationship with the negative side of the negative forces in life, in this universe. The negative energies. And you can sense this stuff, man, I'm telling you. You're like, Rabbi Kefa, you've been watching some Star Wars movies? No, I'm serious. You can sense these things. It's a force, it's an energy. And you can sense that. Although I do like Yoda. It's one of my favorite teachers. But you can sense these things. And so you get around these people. And so what do? You begin to infuse light into them. Like I did with this particular physical therapist. I said, no, wait a minute. Let's stop for a minute. Listen to what you just said. You advocating. I'm just being the devil's advocate. No. He's going to get this bed. And he's going to get this bed because you're going to write things the right way that's advocating for this little boy to get this bed, right? And if you need assistance, the mother and I are here to help you, word this so he can get this bed from the federal government. I mean, the federal government wastes a lot of money on a lot of things. You and I both know that here in America. Probably the same thing in the UK, Lion King and Lion Princess. But here's an opportunity for you to, to show some compassion and love towards the least in the kingdom. Baruch Hashem. Towards the least. That's why these shepherd nations are so great, because they do take care of the least. But we can't care for the least with people with the can't type of mentality. Oh, I can't manifest. Oh, why isn't my manifest? Because you reside on the negative side of the forces of energy. And that's who you're making relationships with. The negative. So what do you anticipate? What do you expect coming your way? Nothing from nothing will leave you what? Nothing. I'm telling you. This is reality. Tada Rabbi HaKohim for giving me a healthy taste of reality. And what reality really is. Understanding that what? Reality is what I make it. I can make reality. I am making reality. I don't have to can do it. I am making reality. And down here in Little Mexico, I tell these folks down here all the time, they call you a Mexican. You're not a Mexican. You a Mexican because you can. I tell you, there's been this stigma placed upon anybody Hispanic in the room. Put up an H. You have Hispanic roots. You're Hispanic. There's been this stigma put on Hispanics. And I see it in cartoons all the time that Hispanics are lazy. That's totally not true. The Hispanics that I've seen in reality, they work very hard. They're very skilled, and they work very, very hard. I mean, how many of you have that experience with the Hispanics that you know? They're very skilled, and they work very hard. And they'll do a lot of the jobs that a lot of folks won't do because they work very hard, and they have a work ethic. They're not like what you see. They portray these, I'm watching these cartoons, old school cartoons like Bugs Bunny. They'll portray these Mexicans as lazy. Oh, senor, very lazy people, don't want to do anything, can't get off their backsides. That's totally false. But you see, a lot of folks roll with that kind of reality. And that if you allow it, that stigma will be placed upon. This is why. When I come in, and I'm giving an example, I infuse that positive side of the forces. I say, man, look, you're a Mexican because you can. You're a Mexican because you can. You're not a Mexican. They didn't name you in your history. They didn't name you a Mexican. Don't forget about Speedy Gonzalez. Exactly. I was just gonna say that. That little mouse, Speedy Gonzalez. Quicker than quick, because they work that way. And I tell you, when I need things done, I got contracted. I'm there in Little Mexico. I know, I'm telling you, these people are skilled. I always look for their craftsmanship. When I need carpentry work done around my home, anything done around, any kind of thing, I always look to employ and circulate my currency towards the Mexicans, because I know they can. You know how when you employ a business, they'll say, well, how did you hear about us? How did you hear about me? I say, I tell them, I say, I hired you because you're a Mexican. They're like, ooh. Now, do you think me infusing that light into them is going to make them do a better quality job on my house, in my garden, or in my yard? It absolutely is. They were like, man, he said I was a Mexican. Honey, I worked with this guy today, and he said, I'm a Mexican. I'm not a Mexican. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. True Joy Ministry said, need to go. Please remember the orphan kids in your prayers. Baruch Hashem. True Joy Ministry sure will do that. Shabbat Shalom to you. Forever. And always. But think about this for a minute. This is reality. And a lot of folks are whether they see it or not, they're creating their reality every single day. Every single day. True Joy Ministries, what I want you to do is begin to write up affirmations that there are no more orphan children. Begin to script that and write it up and begin to see in your reality that, you know what, True Joy Ministry, you out of business. You out of business because there are no more orphans anymore. All these orphans have been placed with loving families, and you no longer have a business anymore in that particular realm. You know what I mean? Begin to see that and begin to make that your reality, and you'll no longer need to pray for the orphans because there won't be none. That's how powerful you are, True Joy Ministry. You have that power. You have that power to do that. You have that power to do that, True Joy Ministries. You know what? I just described to you the prayer of a Hebrew. That's it. We don't have to go out. We don't have to go out waiting for something to happen. We make it happen. We make it no orphans anymore, Baruch Hashem. There's a lot of homes that are looking to care for loving children, and they're all going to be filled up with these so-called orphans that are no longer orphans anymore, that are in loving homes with people that care for them and show them compassion and love. Hey, you begin to script that, True Joy Ministries, and it will be your reality. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. Make it your reality, Baruch Hashem. That's just a great example. You see the difference between how a Hebrew prays and how religion prays? A Hebrew makes it reality, baby. That's just what it is. Now, let me get into my lecture, Baruch Hashem. I tell you, that was just the appetizer, Mishpah. You guys got a little appetizer. Because I wanted to follow up and piggyback off of Hakohen's lecture. Because I truly see that. If you have to ask the question, why? My goodness. Then you leave and you open the door for the opportunity for doubt and disbelief to creep in with all they homies. And doubt and disbelief have a lot of homies. You know what I mean? We talked about some of our Wade is one of the homies. We talked about some Logic comes in, another one of their little homies. They'll come in. And before you know it, if you don't deal with them quickly, they'll begin to establish themselves there. And you'll begin to have great relationships with them. Instead of you kicking them out and recognizing them for who they are and what they are. Are they here to bring me up or are they here to tear me down? That's what it is at the end of the day. And this is how you have to analyze self. Is what I'm doing right now building me up or is it tearing me down? Is what I'm doing right now giving me peace, love, joy, and happiness? Or is it leaving me depressed, busted and disgusted, worry, and in anxiety, and all this other crap they coming up with? All these behavior type issues. Man, we didn't have all this. What's all this behavior type stuff? Man, are you kidding me? Spare the rod, spoil the child. That's just me, man. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Listen, I have a 2-year-old. And you know, how many of you heard the saying, terrible twos? Nakshan has not seen no terrible twos. No such thing. You get what I'm saying? Because I create this reality up in this house. Hey, Brother Davis, I run this. I run this. And there ain't no such thing as no terrible twos in the Kefa and Yah-Faith. No such thing as no terrible twos. You know what I mean, Oliver? Ain't no such thing, man. Nakshan is you know what he's having? He's in a phase right now of the terrific twos, baby. Terrific. I'm telling you, terrific. He had terrific twos. And hey, with Nakshan, I don't have to hit him. All I do is look at him. Y'all know, you old school people know, you just give your son the look, and he know what time it is. And before he want to get into any kind of mischief, he'll always look for mother or he'll look for father. Oh, there he is right now in all his glory. Shabbat shalom, Nakshan. Shabbat shalom. In all his glory. All I got to do is give him the look. I got to give Nakshan the look. Hey, you see it right now? Silence of the lamb. You go, Papa? Oh, okay, go, Mama. You go, Mama. All I got to do is give him that look. That's all I got to do. He know what time it is. Right, Nakshan? Say Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. Boy, you look like his daddy. You go, Mama. Okay, you go, Mama. All right, you go, Mama. But that's what it is. So we have to get to this point to where we understand reality is made by us. You don't create reality because reality is. Whether you create it or not, reality is going to be there. It's going to be there in the morning. It's going to be there at night. It's going to be there while you're sleeping. You was born into reality. So the sooner you begin to deal with that and understand that, the better it's going to be for you. Establish a relationship, a positive relationship with reality, and it'll serve you very, very well. Some folks don't come into reality till later on, and that's okay. Because, I have a higher appreciation for those folks because you know why? They respect reality more when they understand it. Because they've lived so long without it. You know what I mean? So when they come into reality, oh my goodness, they have a higher respect for reality. How many know what I'm talking about? They have a higher respect for it. And they will never leave reality because they know what it is to be out there without it. You know what I mean? So when folks say, well, Rabbi Kefa, why did it take so long for me to come into this knowledge and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I say, no. You'd be grateful because now that you have it, now you'll hold on to it and you won't let it go. You all know there's people that come through here and flow through here. I mean, I've never been a fan of how many numbers are in the room. I've never been a fan of that. That doesn't matter to me. I don't care if it's just one of y'all. I don't care if it's just me and Bertha Shaw in the room. I'm going to be here. That is what I do. I'm going to be here. And some folks, for whatever reason, they can't come into the room, but they listen in later. I noticed that. I did notice that this week, that they do listen in later, because I see the views on YouTube. People do listen in later. And that's okay, too, because you got to get on and take care of your family. The greatest commandment of all is to take care of your family. You want to break a bunch of commandments? Stop taking care of your family. Stop taking care of your family. That's the number one commandment, is to take care of your family. You being a part of your family. Not excluding you, but including yourself. Baruch Hashem. So it's very important that we do understand these principles, these basic, fundamental principles, to where you can build your house on what Yeshua ben Yosef called solid ground. No more this sandy ground, no more this rocky ground, but on solid, fertile ground. So you must be grounded in who? You must be grounded in self. You must be grounded in yourself and understand what reality really is. Reality is what you make it. Hey, honey. Reality is what you make it. It's what you make it. It's what you make it, Mishpachah. You have to make your reality. It's so important that you understand that. So important. Not many is going to get this, Mishpachah. The things that Hakohen is teaching us, I mean, many folks consider this stuff like witchcraft. Like we're demonic. Like we're actually serving the devil. And I'm like, man, you guys clueless, man. Oh, you don't go to Sunday church? You going to hell, brother. Do you know hell is real? I'm like, hell is real right now, sir, and heaven is real right now too, sir. Yeah, I know they real, and they right now. Oh, you're going to burn in the eternal fires. Oh, no, I'm not burning right now, and I won't burn when I die. I'm not burning. I mean, this is what kind of creator that's full of mercy and grace and compassion towards his creation is going to let it burn forever? That's the stupidest thing I heard in my life. But at one time I believed that crap. How many of you one time believed in a hell? How many of you? Anybody? Put up a capital H. You say, one time I believed in hell, Rabbi. They made me in fear of that hell. Ooh, I was so scared of hell I couldn't go to sleep at night. I believed in that hell, Rabbi. What kind of God, what kind of power would do that to you? Just let you burn forever? And you can't stop burning? That's stupid. That's stupid thought. But that's a lot of people's reality, isn't it? Hadassah Grace says, it was scary. Yeah. And you see, that's what religion wants to do. They want to leave you in waiting, and they want to leave you in fear. That's how they keep you. That's how they keep you confined. That's how they keep you shackled. That's how they keep you in chains. And like our holy books say, that's how they keep you in bondage. You get it? You guys that have woken up, be so grateful that now you have a relationship with reality, and your reality can be whatever you want it to be. Devorah 27 says, one relative's mother used the book of Revelations as a horror story. I believe that. And you can do that. Christianity came up with that series. I watched a little bit of it when I was a Christian. What was it called? What was that series called? I think they made DVD. They made movies out of it too. What was it? Something about the rapture. Yeah, but anyway, they made a series about it. And I was like, wow, man, that stuff scared the hell out of me. I was like, wow, there you go, Yael 110, Left Behind, Bertha Shaw, you know what I'm talking about. I was like, damn. I don't want to miss this because I don't want to be left behind and have to deal with all this shit. I was like, man, what do I got to do? Oh, man, I was so scared. But that's how they leave you, man. That's how they leave you. In fear and in waiting and in anticipation. When you're wasting this great period of your lives of just being wasted away. And you're like, man, before you know it, you look up and you say, where did my life go? What did I do with myself? You know what I mean? Lion Princess says, Left Behind. I brought the whole series of books. Hey, Lion Princess, I know it gets cold your way now. So those books, they make some nice little firewood for your chimney, your little fireplace. Yeah, Lion Princess, I'm laughing with you because I know, I'm telling you, man, had me in fear. Running. But that's how they do. That's how they keep you. And then you keep anticipating, oh, Jesus, come soon, come soon. And you never get on with what you desire for your life. What you desire, like, what's making you happy? You can't even consider happiness because you're too concerned and too worried about missing the rapture and going to hell. Oh, my goodness. That you can't get on with life. That you can't get on with life. And that's the terrible part of it. So this is what we're dealing with in these shepherd nations. It's all around us. There's nobody in this room that can't tell me that this experience that I'm giving, they don't know somebody that's actually living it like right now, because you do. It's all around us. You see? Remember, we're sojourners. We're strangers in these lands. You know what I mean? The land that we actually inherited as an inheritance, we were strangers in that land too. Get that. Go figure, right? So, yeah, we're strangers in these lands. We have to understand how to utilize the tools that we have at our disposal that many don't have to really be of service and help people that are around us. Not to use these tools as a bully pulpit to run people under the bus, to shame people, because believe me, that's not where we at. When I was dealing with that physical therapist, I told her, look, in all due respect, and I'm not trying to disrespect you in any way, but there's no devil advocates in this house. We advocates for this patient, and we're going to make sure that this patient gets the best of the best, and this patient's going to get this bed. Because her negativity, there's no way in hell he's going to get this bed. Medicaid has denied so many people with this bed. I say, hey, man, stop, ma'am. Stop. In all due respect, ma'am, this patient's going to get this bed. I'm telling you, this patient's going to get this fully electric bed. And Medicaid's going to approve it. Medicaid has approved it. She's like, what the hell? She's like, what are you speaking? She said, I'm speaking positive energy to bring positive energy into this whole process. Not negative energy. We don't need that. There's enough of that in the world. And so this is how you must begin to deal with and have relationship with these nations. And that's what I was saying earlier before I went off a little bit. That's what I was saying earlier about the Torah. The Torah teaches us relationships. It teaches us relationships on how we deal with the nations that we're in. And you'll see this pattern in the Torah. You'll see it. How did Abraham deal with the Egyptians? You see, all these different situations that we put in. How did the Hebrews deal with all of these, the nations that they were in? They had to have relationships with these people. And one clue I'm going to give you, because I have a lecture cooking about this. But one clue that I will give you and clue you up on is this. Now, you see this pattern in our holy books. Our Hebrew women, you guys are fine like red wine in the sunshine. You women are so fine that I drink your bath water. And we see this in ancient times. Our Hebrew women were some fine chicks. I mean, how many of you understand that? That, look, the Torah even say that, that our women were beautiful, beautiful women, right, Oliver? Some beautiful women, Hadassah Grace, Bertha Shaw. Beautiful women. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. They're beautiful women, right? So just like you see this pattern in our holy books, man, our patriarchs had to, yeah, there you go, Devore. Let me correct myself. Still are, always, and forever. You got that right. So our Hebrew men, their husbands had to, and you see this pattern not only one time, you see it several times, where they had to mislead the nations. How many of you know what I'm talking about? They had to, in their relationship with them, they had to, well, what folks would consider, they would say, okay, well, he told a lie. No, he didn't. He just had to leave out information. And there's something to that, and I want you all to understand that, and I'm going to get into that at a later time. But in our relationships, it's not good to tell people everything. I'm letting you know that right now. And your relationship that you have, relationship that we have with our family members, relationship that we have in the nations, as we deal with these nations, as I told you earlier, we're sojourners in these nations, Ms. Bahar. We're just passing through. There's certain things that you say, certain things that you don't say, and certain information that you put out, and some information that you don't put out. You all get it? I remember back in my Super Hebrew days, I was trying to tell everybody everything that I knew, and that was wrong. I realized, and I learned the hard way that was wrong. You know, you're out here, you're Super Hebrew, and you telling everybody everything. And that was totally wrong, Brother Davis. I realized that. I learned that the hard way. You can't do that. You cannot, look, we're in Gentile nations. How am I going to sit here and begin to throw Torah law out of these Gentile nations when it's foreign to them? Hell, Torah law is foreign to the nation, to the government of Israel. Why? Because they have a secular government as well. There's no Torah government rule in Israel today. It's a secular government. One of the most secular governments you ever gonna find, by the way. Just for your information. So we have to be very careful. And I like the way Yitzhak put this when he was talking to his son, Esau. And he said it this way. I'm going to go right to it. Genesis, again, I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the Hidden True Hebraic Scrolls. He said it this way. He said in Genesis chapter 27, verses 35. Listen to the way he says this, Mishpah, out of the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. But he said, your brother came with craft and has taken away your blessing. Woo! Do you hear that? He said your brother came with craft. I like the wording there. Now, I'll tell you this. 2021, you Hebrews, descendants of Hebrews, Israelites, you must be crafty. So, remember the scenarios when we talked about where fine Hebrew wives and, these other nations, they literally, they're literally just, what's the word they use? Christians love to use word. They're literally coveting after another man's wife, literally, these nations, because the Hebrew women are just beautiful, man. Beautiful women on the planet. So they're coveting after these men's wives. So another C word I'm going to throw in there is that the Hebrew men, the husbands, had to get what? They had to get crafty. Abraham had to get crafty. Jacob had to get crafty. I mean, every one of our patriarchs, we had to get crafty. And I'm not talking about the product craft, the craft product. No, but they had to get crafty. And just like Yitzhak, just like Isaac said, your brother came with craft. We too must come with, you must be crafty as well. And that's all I'm going to talk about with the relationship with the nations. But more importantly today, I want to look at the relationship with the family today. Because what we see happening here in Genesis chapter 27 is a relationship, is family relations. Family relations that started at birth. And remember last Shabbat how I was talking about how we multiply and multiplies in our DNA and all this, that, the other, the third. It's all true. It's all facts. And then we talked about, I was asking the women, how many of you have, we talked about multiplying, the multiplier effect. Shabbat Shalom, Nehemiah. And we talked about, I was asking the women, well, how many of you have birthed twins or triplets or quintuplets or whatever? How many of you have birthed more than one? Well, here we see in our holy books that did occur. That happened. And we see the multiplier effect taking place that I described in the lecture, last Shabbat, during last Shabbat's lecture. We see that taking place. Where you had two sons from one woman. She gives two sons at one time. Baruch Hashem. Yitzhak, I mean, man, he's got to be on cloud 9. Two sons? Awesome. And we understand it gets deeper than that. You all know the story, so I'm not going to really focus and concentrate too much on the story that much, per se, on that part of the story. But what I want to look at and what I want you all to begin to see is that the Torah, and I've said this many times, I'll continue to say this, the Torah is all about a relationship, and relationships, plural. It's about how we carry ourselves as the people of the books. And we're left with examples of how to carry yourself, and we're left with clues on how our patriarchs and matriarchs carry themselves as the people of the books. And we can learn from this. Just like I just read to you, out of Genesis chapter 27 and verse 35, where Yitzhak talks about, and he's talking to Esau, and he says, your brother came with craft. We must be crafty. I want you to consider this going forward out there in your 6 days of labor, is you must be very crafty on how you speak, how you carry yourself, your mannerisms must be very crafty. This is, and I'm not saying this in a devious kind of way, but I'm actually saying this in an increased type of way. In an abundance kind of way, in a blessing kind of way. Because this is what's going to attract people to you, is your craftiness. They may not come out and say, hey, man, you crafty. But they're going to come out and say, man, you sure are efficient. Or they may even say this, man, you sure, or woman, man, you sure are wise. You're a wise person. It's because I'm crafty. It's in my DNA, baby. I mean, you don't go out there telling them that because, again, you're not trying to raise yourself up above anybody. You're trying to put yourself underneath, keep yourself humble and meek, just like our forefather Moses was, Moshe, humble and meek. I have those same characteristics of being humble and meek. It's the characteristics of our forefathers, our foremothers, is to be humble and meek. These are the relationships that I established within self. Humbleness, meekness, compassion, love towards all. And those of you who are listening on YouTube, you may be listening to this lecture, you may say, Rabbi Kefa, I'm on YouTube and I listen to a lot of other stuff, and they definitely not talking like you talking. In relationships, Shabbat Shalom to you, and how I have my relationships with other people. Because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, that's what the Torah is all about. It's about relationships. In the families, in the nations, it explains to us. It gives us, it's all about relationships, you see. Divorce says, who the hell came up with, we are the species of as serpents and harmless as doves. If you're wise as a serpent, then that means you're as crafty and cunning as a dangerous viper. You must be very, very, very crafty. Very, very wise. But I'll tell you what assists us in a lot of areas. Well, you too much don't have to take control over yourself and responsibility of it, because you just have to continue to walk on the positive side of the forces. Because sometimes people can take their craftiness the wrong way and think that, okay, you got at me, now I'm going to get back at you. Doesn't have to be that way. And this Parsha and the birthright issue is a great example of that. Is that, yeah, Mama had to get crafty just to make things right. that started out wrong. And I wrote it this way. If you've been wronged, it will make it right. Who's the it will make it right? That's karma. Karma has a way of making wrong right. That's karma. So when people wrong you, you don't have to get crafty and wrong back at them. No, you sit back and you continue to be crafty and show your compassion, love, and kindness. Continue to show it. And then guess what? Karma has a way of coming back and fixing that wrong and making that wrong right. That's what happened in this whole relationship between Jacob and Esau. The wrong was made right. Right? No matter, I don't give a flying flute how it was done. Torah goes into great detail to explain how the wrong was made right through Mama. Mama helped make the wrong right. But what you need to understand is this. Karma has a way of making that wrong, say like you were wronged. I don't know, everybody in this room at one time or another was wronged. You may still be getting wronged. Don't worry about it. Don't wait on making it right. Continue to be right in your wrong. And karma will deal with the wrong and make it right. Rabbi, you couldn't say that again 20 times if you had to. Listen to how Esau put it. Esau in Genesis chapter 27, verse 36. Esau said, is he not rightly named Yaakov? For he has supplanted me 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? You see, when you take something from somebody else, not only do you get what's taken away from you, there's nothing left. There's nothing there. Then when you take from somebody else, then things are going to be taken from you. This is why Esau had to ask the question, have you reserved a blessing for me? But I like the way Esau put that. He said, you took my birthright and my blessing, but it wasn't yours to begin with. This is why karma has a way of making the wrongs right. Definitely has a way of doing it. And I tell you this, I tell you, it was done in a very crafty way. Just like Esau said, it was done very crafty. Very, very crafty and clever way. And I would encourage you all to get that same way in these nations, is to be very crafty. Very, very crafty. I mean, look, the manifestation, the blessing was from the very beginning supposed to go to Yaakov. I don't know if you all see that, but it was originally. Some actions were taking place, and then we see, things turned around for a minute. For a minute. Things may not go your way for a minute. That means you give up. You got to get crafty. Don't give up. Just get crafty. There's so many ways to get what you want. You just got to get crafty. And you have to be clued up to recognize. And I tell you this, a lot of folks are missing your miracles that are taking place and are right at the door is because you have this preconceived thought of how it's supposed to happen. Quit worrying about the how. But when you'll see the puzzles start to come together and you just got to flow with it. Like a currency, you got to flow. You got to flow with it like a current or currency. You got to flow with it and allow it to be. $1 million just might not, it's not going to show up in a Jeff Bezos box on Amazon at the front of your door. But you'll see doors start to open. You'll see avenues and strategies come into play that'll assist you like, oh, wow, this is a great way. And not only one way, you'll see many doors open. There are many different ways to, this is a great way. This is a great little strategy to give me. This is a great little technique to give me $1 million. Let me believe in it. Let me put it into action. Let me believe in it. Let me put it into action. I'm not going to doubt it. I'm going to test it. And if it works, I'm going to keep working it, and working it, and working it, and working it. And before you know it, you had $1 million. And $1 million came to you from many different directions. Why? Because you had you had so many different strategies, so many different businesses going. And then before you know it, you was a millionaire. And you continue to just grow it. And it's like flowing water. And it just keeps flowing. And it's like a current. And it just keeps moving. Took my son to the beach for the first time. He experienced the beach, ocean water, and he gets in there and he gets in there and he loses his footing a few times. Why? It's because those waves are hitting him and they're pulling him in and pulling him out. I mean, he's knee high to a tadpole wet, and then the waves are just taking him in and out. And then Nachshon realizes, okay, I got to keep my balance. And once he understood how he had to balance with the waves and move with the waves. Don't try to fight them and move against them, but move with the waves. Baruch Hashem. Begin to move with them and flow with them. Don't flow against it. Flow with the currency. Flow with the current. And then he realized, okay, I can stand up in this. And then he began to play in it. And I began to say, yeah, that's how you do it, son. That's just how you do it. That's just how you do it. Some folks, Devorah, are closing the door to the flow. The flow is coming, and they closing the door. It's like, okay, I want to, and then they say, well, why aren't things happening in my life the way I want things to happen? It's because you actually are closing the door. You got to be open and recognize when these doors open, go through them. And you don't just wait on that one particular door that may never happen. That's you trying to manifest the how. Who cares about the how? But when the doors open, go through them. Go through them. Go through them. Don't bypass those doors by saying, man, I dreamed this way and it didn't happen this way, so that's not the door. Get thee behind me, Satan. Oh, my goodness, man. Leave your religion at the door, man, and begin to live your life in reality. And that devil that's closing all your doors is yourself. You're that devil. You're the devil. Closing all those doors of opportunity, all those doors of increase that are just there. If a man comes up to you and gives you a check, you say, oh, here, ma'am, this is this check for you. Let me get this check. I just felt an urge. And, you have such a great energy. I felt an urge to give you a check for $50,000. What are you going to do to that man? You going to reject the check? Say, oh, no, sir, I can't take that check. I don't know if you're a drug dealer or where you're from. You're part of the cartels or whatever. Is this stolen money or whatever? This is not how it's supposed to happen. So, no, I don't take your check. Get thee behind me, Satan. Can you imagine that? That's just an example of closing the door. You've been desiring this particular car for so long. All of a sudden, somebody knocks on your door, and that's that same car, exactly how you want it, out in the driveway. This guy said, "Look, man, you won this contest, and you won this car right here." You'd be like, "Well, is this car stolen? I can't take this car. I got to pay the tax, title, and license on it, but you said I got to," you know what I mean? And then you totally miss out on your blessing. Boom. There goes the car. You see what I'm saying? So you got to, don't worry about the how. The how is not important. Just make sure when those doors open that you don't doubt and you walk through those doors and you believe, yeah, this is just what I want. I can see how this is the next stepping tool to where I want to be and what I desire for myself. And deaf poet, to give me my peace, love, joy, and happiness at the end of the day. That's what life is all about. It's not about these fictitious, phony, fake religions out here that just leaving you shackled, hoodwinked, and bamboozled. You see? Brother David said, I'm kicking the door down. Absolutely. I'm going through that door, Brother David, swimming, man. I'm swimming through the door. I'm swimming through the next one. Hey, open all them doors. I'm going through them. Because I believe in what I believe, and I believe in self. That's what it's all about. Having that relationship with yourself and beginning to open up your reality how you want it. Not how somebody else telling you it has to be. Man, forget all that cockamamie. That's bullshit, man. They're giving you a bunch of bullshit. And you're living a life that's just a shell of itself. And you never get on with your life with meeting your desires and finding that God man, that God woman that's within you. And having that relationship on that level. And a lot of folks are missing out. Just like Esau said there in Genesis chapter 27, verse 36, they're missing out on their birthright and they're missing out on their blessing. They're missing out on their birthright and they're missing out on their increase. Why? Because they have been supplanted by themselves. Wow. Oh yeah, Rabbi Kefa is bringing it right close to home, up close and personal. Because they have supplanted themselves. Oh, but he didn't. No, ain't nobody did. You supplanted yourself by negating all that positive talk you talking. You know, you're not backing it up with action, and you're running in disbelief and doubt, and you just supplanted yourself. Wow. And then you end up saying just like Esau, he supplanted me. He has supplanted me these 2 times. He took my birthright and he took my blessing. Oh my goodness. Devorah says, sometimes we have to say, Father, I believe, and help my disbelief. Nehemiah says, bring that heat on the fire. Bring that heat and fire. Baruch Hashem. You have to understand this, Mishpah. Family, quit explaining away things that are so irrelevant and wasting all your energy on negativity and doubt and fear and never going to happen, because guess what? That's just what it's going to be. That's your reality. You have to make it happen. Why? You have to believe it's going to happen. You don't doubt it. Doubt will never say why. Doubt will never say why. Well, doubt will always say why, but belief will never say why. Because belief is. Unbelief says why, but belief is. It just is. You get it? I'm telling you, Mishpah, there's so much at our disposal in these nations. And I'm going to tell you another thing that you've noticed from our holy books, that Torah. The nations helped Israel out tremendously. When Israel went to the nations helped Israel out. Now, you had some nations that didn't in relations. Am I correct? Some nations that hated Israel, that detested Israel and wanted Israel to suffer. Whilst you had others in the nations that they opened their doors to Israel, gave Israel the shirt off their back, helped Israel, increased Israel, not decreased it, but increased Israel. And you're going to find that. And you're going to find both sides of the stick there. You're going to find that in reality. But don't let the negativity stop you from utilizing the great sources that we have here in the nations. And that's people, and establishing great relationships with people. But if you listen in on YouTube, what do they tell you? Oh, hate the white man, hate this man, hate this person because their hair's straight, hate the Indian because they did all this, that. I mean, hate. We're not going to have that. That's not a part of us. That's not a part of us. Brother David said we became a great nation in Egypt. Oh, we absolutely did. We prospered in Egypt. Although they had us working as slaves, we began to outnumber them. And that did, oh my goodness, what did that do? That made them in fear of us. They began to fear us. Not because of what we said, but because of what we were doing. Let them look at what you're doing. Let that speak for you. Let that speak for you. Man, they were in fear of what the Israelites were doing, not what the Israelites said. Man, these people are just growing. They just increasing. Well, that's a part of the covenants, baby. We covenant people. We're going to always increase. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you. Increase your reality. You shouldn't be saying, well, why isn't things happening? You should be saying, man, things are happening now. Right now, things are happening. My reality is now, and I got that car now, I got that house now, I got that husband now, I got that wife now, I got that land now, I got these businesses now. I got everything now. But then logic will come in and say, well, no, that's not your reality. You busted and disgusted. You can't make $1 out of 15 cents. How you saying you got all these? You see what I'm saying? 3 amigos coming there. Doubt. Unbelief. Well, you're going to just have to wait because look at this job you had, man. This job, you ain't going to get away with this. Flipping burgers and dropping some chicken. How you going to say you a millionaire? See? Logic will come in. And then logic will be your reality because you'll begin to believe it. Instead of saying like Popeye, I am that I am. Even Popeye said that. Popeye said, I am that I am, didn't he? I used to watch a lot of Popeye coming up. Even Popeye said, I am that I am. Consider these things going forward. And believe it or not, Popeye is true. You are what you are. But who you listening to? You listening to self? You listening to doubt? You listening to fear? You listening to disbelief, unbelief? Who you listening to? And we'll be able to find that out real quick just by having a conversation with you. And just sit back and listen to what you say. Well, why am I not getting this? I've been doing this for about 3 years and I'm still not seeing anything at all. I'm not seeing any kind of progression. Oh, wow. Then guess what you're going to see? No kind of progression. But when you keep saying, it's here, it's here, it's here now, I'm in it now, then that's what you're going to get. That's just what you're going to get. Divorce and plural marriage was the key to our ancestors multiplying their families and eventually outnumbering the Egyptians. But you see, that's just what you're going to get. And at the same time that plural marriage was going on, what were they doing? They were killing the babies, killing the men. They were trying to say, look, we got to stop all this stuff, keep the women, but kill all the men. You can't stop it. You're going to increase in every area of your life. Nobody can stop you but yourself. You know, increase is built into you. Only you can take the increase away from you by doubting, by having doubt, and by disbelief. I don't believe I can increase my salary. I don't believe I can increase, in population. I don't believe that. Stay away from the negative side of the forces. And then we also read, we can ready to conclude here because I got to get moving here. But I also want to look at this very important factor. And, our Torah is just so awesome. I tell you, it really leaves you a lot of clues. And I'm going to drop one of those clues on you if it hadn't already been dropped on you. HaKohen may have done this, but what do you glean from this? I'm going to read this. Where am I going to start reading from? Let's start reading from... Okay, let's start reading from Genesis chapter. Chapter 27 and verse 36 again. And Esau said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now look, he has taken away my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Look at verse 27. Then Yitzhak answered and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given him as servants. I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine have I sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? With grain and wine have I sustained him. Baruch Hashem. Now let's keep reading. Look at verse 38. And Esau said to his father, have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Look at verse 39. Then Yitzhak, his father, answered and said to him, behold, listen to this closely. Behold, your dwelling shall be away from the fatness of the land and the dew of the Shemayim from above. Look at verse 40. By your sword shall you live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you will have the rule, that you will break his yoke from your back. And I'm gonna end by reading verse 41. So Esau hated Yaakov because of the blessing which his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Yaakov. I'm going to stop right there. Now, I want to clue you in on something real quick. This is easy, and Uncle Google is getting ready to help us out here in just a minute. I want you to clue in on, some of you may know where I'm going here, I want you to clue in on Genesis chapter 27, verse 40. By your sword you shall live. By your sword you shall live. I want to clue in on that for a minute. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go to Uncle Google right now, and I want you to Google this right here. I want you to Google it this way. Let me see how did I word that? I want you to Google it the same way. Which countries' flags have swords on them? I want you to Google that. Ask Uncle Google, which countries' flags have swords in them? And I want somebody to tell me, what does Uncle Google say? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Do you all see it for yourself? This is from Uncle Google, by the way. This is from Uncle Google was telling you. And you could probably have asked Aunt Alexa. She'd probably told you the same thing. But now, isn't that amazing? What is that telling us here? What do you glean from what you just learned from Uncle Google and our Torah, by the way? What do you learn from that? Where are our brothers at? Where are our brothers at? Huh? Where are our brothers? And who is real Israel? My goodness, man. That says a lot in itself, doesn't it? Beautiful, isn't it? I tell you, our history is beautiful. Our history is rich. Our history is very, very rich. What did you learn from that, Mishpahah? What did you learn from that? I mean, and if you Google even further, you get deep with it and just say, you look at just, countries with flags that, think about this for a minute. So if Esau were their descendants, then, and you look at their color, I don't know if you ever looked at the color of Arabs, but it varies. But I tell you this, it's blacks and browns. A lot of blacks and a lot of browns. But again, we know what did Esau do? He went in and he mixed with those forbidden nations as well, didn't he? He went in and took wives and he made his parents very angry. We all know the story. His parents got angry because, who he decided to go off and marry against his parents' will. They didn't like that at all. So they were very guarded against Yaakov, as you can see, as you read further. They were very guarded against who Yaakov would take in as wives. They wanted to keep it in the family. And what Esau did was he took things outside of the family. He began to spread the increases outside of the family. But again, sorry about that. But again, it's very important for us to understand is that things need to be kept within the family. And that was very, very important for Isaac to make sure he got the point across to Jacob, is to keep it and marry within the family. Very, very important. When you start going outside, the increases, they start to kind of wither off, and not really wither off, but again, they start to become negated. Why? Because you didn't hold up to the system. There's a system that we follow, Baruch Hashem. And it's passed on from father to son, to father to son, to father to son, to father to son. Why? So we can keep things within the family. But again, I wanted to clue you in on those. Anybody know any Arab people? Anybody have any relations with any Arabs? I do. Anybody have any relations with any Arabs? Would you explain your relationship with them? Is it a positive relationship? Is it a negative relationship? Do they actually like you? Do they actually like you? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, would you say that, yeah, you have pretty good relations? They actually like us. The Arabs are really clued up on who the people of the books are. They've been shouting that out, against, the Israel today. The Arabs know who the real people of the books really are. You know what I mean? They know. And so when you have this, you know, this influence that's over there in Israel today proclaiming, you know, that they are the chosen, then, you know, it really does, you know, the Arabs are really clued up on it because they know the region and they know the history. And like you've learned just from right here, you know, they really know what's going on. For those of you who are listening on YouTube or you're listening on Facebook, everybody's saying they have great relations with the, look, again, this our brother. These are our brothers. And you know what? It would behoove you to call them your brothers because they are your brothers and your sisters, by the way. These are your brothers and your sisters from the same mother, Baruch Hashem. Think about that for a minute. You see how deep this is? So I'm not surprised to see that majority, all of you have had great relations with Arabs because these are our brothers. And I tell you, you're going to find this very interesting as well. I'm getting ready to close. When I went to Israel with HaKohen, when was that? I can't remember. Yeah, Oliver. A lot of them are black. And what I mean by black, I mean like they're black. They're not like, you know, they're black or they're brown. You know what I mean? You get them blacks and the browns, and then you get the creams in there because, again, remember what Esau did. He mixed with a lot of the other nations that he was told not to. And so that's why you really get that really almost like whitish mix. You know what I mean? So very, very interesting, right? Bertha Shaw saying there's one president said, how is it that Israel left black and returned white? The second president of Egypt said, yeah, again, he made that statement. I remember him making that statement. I read that as well. I was like, yeah, they know what's going on. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very, very important that you do understand that. Do you see how Torah drops us clues and leaves us clues that anybody with an open mind can just go ask Uncle Google and you'll get an understanding of just not only, the region and the culture of people, but also their heritage and how they do things, you see. When you go back and look at Russian history, you don't see them going around and say, well, let me go ask my father and mother for their blessing. HaKohen gave me this, and I got to close, but I'm getting ready to close. But HaKohen gave me this video to watch about one of the most wealthiest, I think he's the wealthiest man in India. And one of his rituals is that he doesn't leave his house without going and ask for his mother's blessing. I don't see that in the Russian culture. I don't see them doing that. Them going asking their mother for their blessing. I don't see that happening. Do you guys see that happening? I don't see that. I don't see it, but I do see it in the Arabic culture that they do. They go around and they ask for their mother's blessing. They ask. That's very, very important. Very, very important for them to do that. So I found it very, very interesting that it's not so much what you say, but let's look at your actions. Let's look at your actions, and the actions will begin to piece the puzzle together. It will be. The actions. And you look at these ancient traditions and these actions that are still carrying over today in 2021, and it's amazing how everything points to a certain people, a certain geographical region, whilst the others don't have all of these attributes, these actions or these traditions that have carried on, you see. I've never ate a piece of square bread before. My bread has always been round. You know what I mean? Square wafers, never heard of that stuff. But roti, love it. I've been eating roti for a very long time before I knew I was the people of the books. And down here in Little Mexico, they've been eating tacos for a minute, and I never ate a square taco. These tacos are always made with tortillas, and them tortillas are round. Where's my girl at? Yeah, Atara and Adelia, can you guys tell me if you ever had a square taco before? No, they eat round tacos down here, and they make what they call tortillas that we call roti, that other folks call, what's another name for them? It's roti. I've heard it called roti. I've heard it called, what's another name I've heard it called before? I'm trying to think of that other name that I heard it called before. But anyway, it's always round. So these so-called Mexicans, a lot of them are people of the books, believe it or not. And they don't even know it, but they are. Chapati, that's the other name. To die for that, Eddies. So again, here we go. Here we go again. Baruch Hashem. So we're going to keep it moving forward, and we're going to keep, just doing the do. We don't have to go around here saying anything. I'm not going to hold up no flag saying that I'm Israel and blah, 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 and blah. What for? What's that purpose serving? I'm going to let my actions speak. And those that are attracted to them, they'll find me. But in the meantime, while I'm in these nations, I'm going to help by correcting them and putting them on a perfect path, which is the light. The light. And let me put it this way: I'm going to put them on an enlightened path. You know what I mean? I'm going to assist them, give them some golden nuggets here and there, help them learn how to speak and think right, so that they can be right and they can have right lives for themselves. I'm not trying to conform or change them. I just want them to live at peace, and they all want this. I've never talked to a person that don't want peace, don't want love, don't want happiness, and don't want joy. Never ran across that person before. They want it, they just don't know how to achieve it, how to attain it. And a lot of them think that's fictitious, and it can never happen. And I tell them that it can, if they believe, if they don't doubt. So here we go. On that note, I'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'll say Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom to all of you, Mishpachah. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Great 6 days of labor ahead. I mean, look at these little clues that the Torah leaves for. They drop us these little golden nuggets, right? Leave us these little golden nuggets, man, that points us back to who we are, our rich heritage. Our heritage is so rich. It's heavy, man. It's a rich heritage. It's heavy. It's just awesome. It's a great way to live. It's a great lifestyle. It's not a religion. Stay away from religion. Find yourself and find God within you, and you'll make your life a whole lot better. And live your life, Mishpachah. Don't live your life for nobody but yourself. Ei, Baruch Hashem. I love you and I leave you in the mighty hands of the Most High. Let's continue on. Let's keep moving forward, Mishpachah. And let's not anticipate, but let's make. Let's make our lives great. Let's make our lives whatever we want them to be. Because whether we believe it or not, we are. At the end of the day. So take care, Mishpachah. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom.